Hey everyone, it's Kellen from RacerX again with another race examination from round 8 in Arlington. We're going to talk about a couple things today, but first up we're going to talk about this Dragon's Back issue, which a lot of people have been talking about this week, and what exactly happened to lead to these. Adam Cianciarulo's heavy crash in practice that resulted in a broken collarbone. Jimmy Dakotas went down very hard. Justin Brayton crashed on the Dragon's Back, and then our defending champion Cooper Webb also crashed on the Dragon's Back in the second main event, landed hard on his back. Sounds like he's going to be in for Atlanta this weekend, so that's good news. But why this was kind of an issue in the Dragon's Back was discussed by Eli Tomac in the post-race press conference, where he said the last whoop in the jump was built smaller than the rest of the jump, and what he's talking about is the upward plane and trajectory of the Dragon's Back as they're whooping up it. That last one just a little bit shorter, so they're kind of already going a certain speed that the whoops will allow, and because that last one's a little bit shorter, it means that sometimes their front wheel will miss it. Where this wasn't a problem was at Anaheim 2, where you can see Jet Lawrence when he was kind of out of control after his first crash. If that top whoop isn't there and it's a little bit taller, as you saw in Anaheim, guys are going to go ahead and just completely miss it in the case of Lawrence, or in some cases miss only the front wheel, which caused this nose in thing. Webb missing the front wheel, catches with the rear wheel, noses in. It's kind of weird too how this nose in thing has been happening a lot this year. We saw it pretty frequently off the Dragon's Back in Arlington, but going back to Jet Lawrence at Anaheim 2, we also saw this long nose wheelie that ended up with him going over the bars and cracking his collarbone as well. Haven't seen it much in recent memory, but it's been happening a lot this year for some reason. The second thing I wanted to talk about was Jordon Smith's awful, no fun night in Dallas. It started with this contact in the first main event with Shane McElrath. He's fortunate enough to save it there and end up fourth in this main event. But very interesting in this crash, or not crash I should say, that his front wheel gets lifted off the ground. He completely gets pushed outside over this outside rut because his front wheel, he's already on the gas, his front wheel lifts up and he almost loops out, but a nice save, really good job to corral it together. So you think, oh, maybe his luck and fortune's turning around. Not so much. Second main event start, he's first to the corner, but he goes wide a little bit, and Swole kind of pushing him all the way off the track there, leads him into the tough blocks. He ends up going down with Teasdale, and it's like, oh, now he's way back. Then a little bit later on in the second main event, he jumps onto Jace Owen's back as they're battling in about the mid-pack. Jace Owen not thrilled with him, letting him know what he thinks about that. Jordon Smith is just like, man, can this night get any worse? Unfortunately for his sake, it could. His foot slips off the peg here in the whoops as he's getting lapped by Chase Sexton in the second main event a little bit later on. Almost corrals it back together, but his momentum's already carrying him to the right, and he kind of augers into this embankment on the right side. So fortunate in one sense to not get hurt worse from that, but unfortunate that so many things happened in that second main event. And then going to the third main event, it just seemed like it was carrying over. RJ Hampshire going in for the pass for third here. Smith just kind of gets nudged onto the ground, and at this point he's just thinking, why did I even fly to Dallas? I should have just not come. Ends up 13th on the night, and he'll be looking to turn it around this next weekend in Atlanta. And on a last note, end it positively, I wanted to talk about Hondas in the whoops. Chase Sexton, Ken Roczen both blitzing the whoops very well. Sexton passing Hampshire for the lead, and like 15 minutes later, Kenny's like, I like that. Let me do the same thing. So he passes Cooper Webb for the lead on the first lap of the first 450 main event. And I just like how clean both of these guys got through the whoops on the first lap. They both right on top, wasted no time, and I could just watch guys hit the whoops all day long. This is like poetry in motion, how smooth both of them were, carrying speed through the whoops, and in the end, it basically helped Chase Sexton take the victory as he went on to go 2-1-2 on the night and pick up his first win of the season. Couple talking points here from Arlington.